Hello, and welcome to volume 5 of my favourite albums of the 1980s. As I've said many times now, it's my personal opinion, but I'd like to hear from you what you guys think of these albums, or your suggestions what I should listen to as well. Um, I suppose it would do 10 a time per video, so here we go. From 1985, their best album, and I think in many people's opinions, it's Dire Straits, Brothers in Arms, with the iconic cover there of the steel guitar. Um, they were having hits before this album, but as soon as this was released, they just shot up there to stardom. It's just pity that the success didn't really last after this album. They released one more album after this, a studio album, and personally, it wasn't much cop, shall we say. It was not as good as this one. You got singles So Far Away on here. You got Walk of Life, Money for Nothing, co-written by Sting on here. Your Latest Trick, and of course the title track, which I just think is an awesome song, Brothers in Arms. Just check it out, give it a listen, download it if you like to do that sort of thing, or go out there, go to the shops and buy it. Dire Straits, Brothers in Arms. All right, we'll go back to 1984 with a Canadian singer, which he was fairly new to me when this album came out, but everybody knows him now. It's Bryan Adams with Reckless. This, for me, it is his best album, in my opinion. Might not be yours, but this one is. It's once you hear this, you can understand why the success came to him, and he's still on top of his game now. But this, for me, is where it all started for him with Reckless. You got Run to You, of course, on here. Heaven, Somebody, and the classic rock anthem of Summer of '69's on here. Kids Wanna Rock. His duet with Tina Turner, It's Only Love's on here. So yeah, it's packed. It's packed with some great anthems on here. He is a good artist. He doesn't often release material, these days. But when he does, he's still on top of his game. And this is where, for me, it all started. Reckless, Bryan Adams. Now we go up to a British UK electronic synth pop band, whatever you want to call them, with Midjaw on lead vocals. It's Ultravox, and I've chosen Raging Eden album. Just for his voice and the way it works with the music. I mean, you've got the singles on here, The Voice, The Thin Wall, which is just amazing. You got Your Mind as well. Has slipped my mind again. Your Name, should I say, has slipped my mind again. Which for me, if you just want to get the album just for that track, it's just a standout track. The last track on it, it's just a standout track. It was never released as a single. Album track on there, Your Name has slipped my mind again. Just Midjaw's vocals on it, it's amazing. And if you ever hear the live version of it, it'll blow your mind away. So that's Ultravox, Raging Eden. Now this one, I didn't know which one to go for. I have two albums for this group. Should I go with the ones what the fans go with, or should I go with the one the fans don't often go with? I've gone with the fans. But to me, the other album as well is as equal as this one, but I had to choose one. You know what I mean? So it's U2 and the Joshua Tree. The other album I was just mentioning was Rattle and Hum. For me, they're both as good as each other, but so I've chosen this one. Came out in 1987, and wow, they sort of never look back. They're just, let's say, they're touring this album now for the 30th anniversary. So it shows you good music does last. You got Where the Streets Have No Name. I Still Haven't Found What We're Looking For. Classic With or Without You. In God's Country. Red Hill Mining Town was on here. One Tree Hill, Exit. Mothers Have Disappeared. Bullet the Blue Sky is just an awesome track. Bono and the Lads, just the blew the pop music apart when they released this in 1987, and it's everybody loved them at the time, and I think people still do love them. Um, it's one of the best. Not the not the best, as I say with me. Rattle and Hum is equal to this one as well, which was to say only came out a year after this. So, but Joshua Tree, U2. I'll be a bit controversial here now because this group only made 2 albums, and the first album was successful. Second album wasn't that commercially successful, and I'm choosing the second album. This is Frankie Goes to Hollywood with Liverpool. Everybody else mostly would have chosen Welcome to the Pleasure Dome, all the number ones on it. But for me, this is a more how can I put it? It's easier to listen to this album. The Welcome to the Pleasure Dome was quite a hard album to get through. It was a double album, and for me, it seemed to be all over the place. This one is just a steady album for me, with and it's a very underrated album, to be honest. But Holly's voice is just on top form on this. Holly Johnson, of course, the lead singer. You've got Warriors of the Wasteland on here, Watching the Wildlife, and Rage Hard, the singles, and Holly's magnificent vocal performance on the last track, Is Anybody Out There? It's to die for. It's a shame this was, their second album and last album together before they went their ways. This is now 1986, Liverpool by Frankie Goes to Hollywood. As I always say, check it out. All right, Mr. Tom Petty now on his own without the Heartbreakers. It's Full Moon Fever. Produced by, of course, you can tell it's produced by Jeff Lynne. It's just the sound of it. I was just, as soon as this was released, I was hooked with this album. And you got, Free Falling on here, I Walk Back Down, Facing a Crowd. My favourite is Running Down a Dream. Yes, So Bad on here. It's, well, let's say they were doing the Travelling Wilburys at the time as well, and you've got the feel of that because you've got help from all the other sort of Wilburys. I think Roy Orbison's on here somewhere as well. It's one of those ones, guitar led, Tom Petty's vocals, produced by Jeff Lynne. What more can I say? But go out there, download it. Full Moon Fever. I was pushed which album to choose for this next group because they've done so many good ones in the 80s. They did The Innocents, the Circus, but for me, I chose the late 80s of Eurasia and Wild from 1989. It's got a very wintry feel about this one. I think I don't know. It just reminds me of winter. There's some of the songs on here. You've got the brilliant drama on here. You've got Star. You've got You Surround Me. Blue Savannah is on here, which was a hit in 1990, of course, but this was released in '89. But you've also got like Gloria, which is just so great on here. Vince and Andy, a brilliant synth pop duo, and they're still on the go, still touring, still releasing albums. Not commercially successful as they used to be, but they still make good music. And as I say, this one is just you know, at the best. Eurasia Wild. I thought there's 3 more to go now. So this one going back to the early 80s. I think it's about 81. It's Adam and the Ants, Kings of the Wild Frontier, which was the very first vinyl album I ever bought. As I say, I don't own any vinyl now, it's all CD, but this was the first album I ever bought on vinyl, Kings of the Wild Frontier. It was just their music was so different. I mean, okay, they came from out of the punk scene, but Adam and the Ants sort of made it their own. Their music, the visuals of the group, you know, the makeup, the costumes, everything, and of course Adam Ant's vocals. Yeah, it was just it grabbed me, and I still love this album today. You know, you've got Dog Eat Dog on here, Ant Music, Kings of the Wild Frontier, of course, the title track. It's one of those tracks that always gets you going as soon as you hear it. It's a shame that, you know, the group didn't last that long after this, and Adam Ant went solo. He had a few, success on his own, but I don't think he ever topped the charts as he did with the group Adam and the Ants. So please check that one out, Kings of the Wild Frontier. And we go to another British artist, solo artist, and I'm not picking picking the album what people would think I'd pick. This is from 1986. It's Billy Idol, but it's Whiplash Smile. I haven't picked, Rebel Yell or Bicycle Idol or anything like that. It's Whiplash Smile, because this was his first record with sort of new material on at the time back then, because it was all the other stuff like regurgitated from albums before. It wasn't a hit, but they re-released it. But this one, sort of new material then. The singles were as successful as the, Rebel Yell and White Wedding and Eyes Without a Face, but it's still a very good album on here. You got To Be a Lover. I just think it's a brilliant song. You've got Sweet 16, which is just awesome, and Don't Need a Gun. I just play that over and over again. It's just, to me, this is Billy at his best. I know he's released albums after this, but for me, this is the one. This is the one where he peaked, I think. And if he could make something similar to this in the near future, I'd be happy. So that's Whiplash Smile by Billy Idol. And the last one is one of my favourite bands of all time. Tears for Fears, Songs from the Big Chair, which is their second album from 1985, with only 8 tracks on the album, but they had world domination with this in the mid 80s. This album just took over the world. You had Shout on here, the anthem Shout. You had Everybody Wants to Rule the World on here. Those 2 tracks were number 1s in America. They never had a number 1 in the UK, but they did have big hits. Mother's Talk's on here, another great song. Head Over Heels, that to me is one of the best I've ever done. And a personal favourite of mine, I Believe, is on here. I prefer the single version because that was a re-recording of the album version, but it's still a good track. It's Kurt and Roland. I mean, they've had their ups and downs. They've split. They've come back. They've been promising an album for the last 15 years up to now, and saying they're still in the recording studio. Maybe they'll release another album. Let's hope so. But this is Songs from the Big Chair from 1985 by Tears for Fears. Download it, check it out. And that's the 10 for this video. I hope you liked them. If please leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Because you say comments, they're always good to read. Some make me laugh, some don't. But hey ho. So if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you don't, give us a thumbs down. Um, if you'd like to join our little group of guys who like to talk about movies, TV stuff, audio dramas, we gather every week to have a little chin wag and make videos. If you'd like to join that, please get in touch, leave a comment below, or you can find us on Facebook. We've got a public Facebook group where you'll type in your name and we'll pop up. We're on Twitter at Geeks Assembled. So, we're all over the place. So if you want to be involved in things we do, please get in touch. It'd be nice to see some fresh faces and get to know some new friends. So until next time, as I would say, stay in the 80s.